Good afternoon. I'm Kirsten Neese, the Director of Marketing for Cornerstone Homes. Today I have with me Joe Dunn with George Mason Mortgage. Thank you for coming and being with us today. We are in our Lexington model home, which is a brand new model for us at Cornerstone Homes and a brand new floor plan. We are in before it's open officially, but we're excited to be here and share it with all of you today and share Joe Dunn's expertise with you. So
thank you. It's nice to be here.
Thanks. And Joe, you've been in this industry 25 plus years. You've seen a lot.
27.
27.
Yes,
if
ma'am.
we were sitting on this couch last year at this time, it would have been an entirely different conversation. Correct. Tell us a little bit about what you're seeing today.
Yeah, so obviously through the pandemic and through last year, demand for mortgages has been at an all-time high with people refinancing, building. Many people are going through a shutdown and deciding they don't want to stay in the current house that they're in if another shutdown potentially comes down the road. And rates really cooperated where rates were lower than they've ever been in my 27-year career.
Yeah.
So it was crazy. Last year, I sent all the employees home on March 12th. I was really the only one at the office from March 12th until the end of the year. Everybody else was working from home, which they were much more efficient than I ever thought they would be. And we set a company record, branch records. I set personal records. It was just a really busy year.
Yeah.
And this year started off to be probably even busier so far.
Which is just amazing. So Joe, tell us a little bit then about your experience with Cornerstone Homes buyers. You're one of our preferred lenders, which we love, and love having you all on our deals because we know that you know what we do and you know what we do and we know what you do, and we can work really well together to make sure that this process just happens smoothly for everybody.
Yeah, so I really enjoy working with Cornerstone and their buyers. I've been on the list now for 3 or 4 years. I'm not really sure how much, but I've been fortunate to do a lot of business with Cornerstone. And I love the ease with which I'm able to work with the company and the sales reps. The buyer is an older buyer that has not been through the mortgage process in quite a long time. Mm-hmm. So it really takes quite a bit of education for them to understand the type of paperwork that's now required.
Right.
Not that it's a problem, it's just different because they haven't been through the process in quite a while. As part of the preferred lender and concierge program, we do offer a closing cost discount to your buyers. We also offer a rate lock that once they lock the rate, if rates do improve between the time they lock and closing, we can float their rate down one time for free.
Fantastic.
Which in a market where rates have been falling, that's pretty important to give them the protection of the lock, but also the flexibility of a float down.
Right.
So it's been a really good working relationship. I've really enjoyed it and enjoy working with your buyers.
Yeah, and I know our team loves working with you and your team. And again, you said it, you touched on it, that our buyers are active adults, right? That's who we sell to and build for. And many of them have lived in their current homes for 10, 15, 20, even 30 years. So they haven't gone through this process in a long time, and things have changed most especially in the last 3 to 5 years, really.
Right.
And things are just a lot more complicated, and there is a lot of buyer education, which is great. We do appreciate that your team kind of goes through all of that with us. So what are some of the unique things that you like to talk about with George Mason?
Well, I got hired 8 years ago to open up George Mason in the Richmond market. Mm-hmm. And George Mason is owned by United Bank, which is a big bank out of West Virginia. So we have pretty much any type of residential mortgage product or program you can think of, from bridge loans, lot loans, construction perm, all of the standard residential products. And then we also have some portfolio products for borrowers that may not need a 30-year fixed, and maybe we have to be a little bit more creative with how we qualify them. Right. My business has always been meeting people face to face, and that's what I love about the business. Obviously, through the pandemic, that's gotten really challenged, and
sure.
Many times borrowers don't feel comfortable and or don't want to meet face to face.
Right.
So we're having to do Zoom and Teams and scheduled conference calls, and a lot of times I'll have to go pick up documents because a lot of people don't have scanners and things like that at home. So it's definitely affected the way I normally like to do business, and I, long for the time when we can get back to that, to the face-to-face interaction. But it's still been very, very busy, and I've enjoyed it. And most of your borrowers have been easily able to adapt to that,
right,
as long as you have a really good phone conversation with them and kind of explain the whole process and what the timing of the process looks like. Most of them seem to be pretty comfortable with the outcome.
That's great. Well, you are such a personable person, and I can imagine that something like this is really hard for you specifically, but it is so nice that we all are able to adapt. And I think that we've all kind of experienced, so much of it. I was joking when I got a shipment of masks in delivered today that I was like, you wouldn't have expected a Cornerstone branded mask in our office as part of our gear, but here we are. 2021, you just never know what's coming around the bend. And I think that you and your team have done an excellent job positioning yourself in this crazy new market and helping our buyers. It's been great. So something you said about our buyers and having to go through all of this. Tell us a little bit about like what it looks like when you meet with the buyer for the first time, or how you get involved in the transaction.
So many times your sales representative will either give me a name and number of someone to contact who may be interested to get a pre-approval, and or introduce us via email. And so then really my first conversation with the borrower is kind of explaining about the process. Mm-hmm. It's really hard for us as lenders to tell somebody what we can do for them until we do an application.
Right. So
we can pull credit and look at their debt to income ratios and things like that. And there's no cost or obligation with an application, but with that, it tells us kind of exactly the products and programs that they qualify for.
Right.
So initially in that first conversation, we're really talking about that process. Do they want to do the application face-to-face, which I'm still comfortable doing? Mm-hmm. Do they want to do it over the phone? Do they want to do it online? And then talking about what will happen once we complete the application. The borrower's credit will be pulled. We'll send them a list of documents needed for pre-approval. Really, the documents are to verify that the income they've told you is the correct income.
Right.
And then once we get that information, then we give them a proposal based on where rates are and what they're telling me they want to put down, and go over that with them, make sure they're comfortable, and if they are, we give them a pre-approval letter. Obviously, send them back to your sales rep so that they can hopefully get the borrower under contract.
Right.
And then we kind of start the rest of the process from there. So a lot of people, that sounds like a really long process, mm-hmm. but it's really, if we do an application today and pull credit, as long as you can get me some type of income verifications the next day, that's really a couple day process.
Oh, good.
I'm somewhat particular in the fact that I want to make sure that if I give you a pre-approval letter, it's a good pre-approval. So there are lenders out there that maybe would give you pre-approvals without verifying income and things like that. I've never really been comfortable doing that. I want to make sure that if I'm telling you the borrower's good for the loan, that they want to buy a house, then they really are good. We've done our due diligence on the back end and verified what we needed to verify. And generally, when you explain that to borrowers up front, they understand that, and they want the same thing. They want a full, honest, transparent snapshot of what their mortgage is going to look like upon closing.
That's fantastic. And we were talking before the interview here today that a little bit about our projects and where we are and closings and things like that. And so with the pandemic and delays in some land development problems and obstacles that we're overcoming with just the weather, and then with the delays in materials coming to the site because of the pandemic and that sort of thing, if a closing gets pushed out a little bit further, like how do you handle that and that process? So sometimes, they might have been told, hey, you're going to close in January. Well, now it looks like it might be March. So what do you do to kind of help them if they have to move out of their other home first? Is there a product that you like to help them offer with? Yeah,
we definitely have some bridge loan products that some of your borrowers have been interested in. We also have a product that's a first mortgage and a second mortgage combination, mm-hmm. where they can put down as little as 5% on the new home, and when their other home sells, pay off the second mortgage so that they're stuck with the first mortgage like they really wanted to begin with.
Right.
So we can get creative with things like that. The challenge is really the rate lock issue. The standard rate lock in on new construction is 90 days or less from completion. Then you still have one free float down. There are 6, 9, and 12-month locks that are available for people that are worried about rates and where the market's going. Mm-hmm. and we do quite a bit of those. So
Right.
we can lock in as close as 30 days or less from completion, or up to a year, depending on what their comfort level is.
That's great. And what are the rates that we're seeing right now, and where are they trending?
So 30-year fixed rates with no points have been in the 2.75 range.
Wow.
And they're really kind of holding steady. At some point, rates have, I feel like, got to go up some, but I do think that rates will remain relatively stable throughout 2021 and potentially 2022. So I'm not really expecting big rate swings.
Right.
But borrowers are real interested in getting the comfort level of getting a rate locked, so they know worst case scenario where the rate is.
Yeah, and especially for our buyer, the stability that offers, and just to keep it everything kind of what they know, and make sure that there's a little bit of change as much as possible, that everything's kind of locked in.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, this has been really great. Is there anything else that you want to share with our viewers today, or that
the process is definitely a process that the borrowers need to understand, and understand the documents that are required. Many times people will say, well, I don't know why you need X, Y, Z. Those really aren't George Mason's guidelines. Those are the industry guidelines.
Right.
So from lender to lender, we should be asking for the same thing. My advice to borrowers is, make sure they check a couple different places. Make sure they're comfortable with whoever their lender is going to be, that they feel comfortable that they can get in touch with them if they need them. I think my team and I've got 2 full-time assistants, 1 full-time processor, and then myself. I think we're very good about communicating, not only with Cornerstone but with the borrowers.
Right.
Borrowers just need to be comfortable with whom they're working, and so I'd like to have the opportunity to convince them that we're the team.
Right. Well, and certainly we love that you and your team does work with our buyers, and just makes it that much easier for our buyers at closing, because we all know each other well and can make that transition and transaction very smooth. So, all right, a few last minute things just for fun. What's your favorite sports team?
Virginia Cavaliers.
Aha, I knew it. And I know you're missing the season desperately.
I have. It's been tough.
I have to say, I'm sorry for your loss on Friday.
That was painful.
That was painful. Your favorite ice cream?
I'm lactose intolerant, so I can't eat ice cream.
All right.
But if I could, coffee used to be my favorite ice cream.
Okay. All right. Your favorite restaurant in Richmond?
My favorite restaurant in Richmond. I think my favorite restaurant in Richmond is Buckhead's.
Okay, was favorite. That's a good one. That's right in my neighborhood.
Yep.
Love it. And how about your favorite day trip in Virginia?
So I'm a history buff, so I like going to the battlefields. I also like the D-Day National Memorial in Bedford. So I do stuff like that. I work so much I don't really take a lot of vacation time, so I like to do
day trips, yeah.
historical type stuff.
That's fun. Well, this has been really fun. Thank you for coming and being with us today. And good luck to you and your team as you make it through the rest of 2021. And we look forward to a bright future with Cornerstone. And
Thank
George
you for
Mason.
your support.
Thank you.
It's great to work with you.
Thanks.